I'm Jeff Yarger. I'm a professor of chemistry, biochemistry, and physics at Arizona State University.
Hi, I'm Angela Edwards. I'm a chemistry instructor, also here at Arizona State University.
So we worked last semester together as instructors for BCH 341, which is physical chemistry with a biological focus. And it was the first time it was taught online. And so we were, in a sense, developing quite a few things together. And I think the thing that they started using for the very first time was YellowDIG. And so you and I got to see this at the same time and kind of introduce it into the course, but we made it kind of an optional thing they could use.
Right.
This semester, I wish you were my instructional assistant again, or helping me with this course, but I found that YellowDIG last semester worked very well.
Yes, it was highly utilized by students. I think we had especially a few students who used it constantly. There were some people who had a lot more responses than others, but possibly because we offered some extra credit, and now that you have a more mandatory use of it, I think that it's going to be utilized hopefully by everybody. Students found it, I think, pretty friendly to make pins and make their own comments. I would say the one thing that I noticed that was potentially, I wouldn't say problematic, but it just made for a lot of posts, is that they wouldn't always scroll for duplicate posts. So YellowDIG has a feature that Blackboard discussions don't have, and that's that it kind of reorders the posts based on what's being responded to. So they're not chronologically ordered. So sometimes you have to look around if you're trying to find a particular post, or maybe more importantly, make sure that you don't duplicate a post by asking the same question that somebody's already asked and probably 6 people have answered. But I also enjoy that it has the like feature, so you can upvote for good responses, you know.
Right. And it'll even reorder, you know, based on some of that.
Right.
So because of, like you said, like I think we both had a positive experience with it last semester, and I feel like you and I both, in a sense, interacted with students a lot that way. We were able to answer questions. In fact, I would say, I don't know about you, but I probably interacted more with students through YellowDIG than I did through virtual office hours on Zoom, through email, or any other way. I would say this is the way they all gravitated towards.
Right.
And I thought it worked fairly well. In fact, it worked well enough that this time, so, you know, a couple things have changed. One is ASU is moving to Canvas, and that's a whole to-do. But so we're early adopters into Canvas, but, you know, because of our experience last semester, I made this, in a sense, an integral part this semester. So, and I foresee that moving forward, where last time it was just kind of extra credit. Now, part of their grade, you know, 10+% of their grade is, in a sense, through, you know, them using YellowDIG, or in a sense, participation points is what I like to think. And it's not based on getting anything right or wrong, but just, like you said, liking things, commenting on things. You know, you can give them instructor, you know, points.
Right.
And YellowDIG seems to be constantly improving, like the feature you said, where they have a problem ordering. Like, I can eliminate duplicate questions.
Oh, good.
You can order things, you can pin things at the top now. You can have it order based on, you know, how most recent responses, or most responses, or most utilized, or most looked at pins and stuff like that. You know, they're adding more and more features. A lot of people ask me, what is YellowDIG? And the way I always frame it is, you know, it's more or less just like Facebook, but Facebook groups, but with an educational slant, you know, so that in a sense it gives you just like you could see how many likes and everything you have on Facebook, and it's easy to comment and add pictures and you know, videos or whatever. You can kind of do the same thing with YellowDIG. This time it just kind of keeps track of all your participation, and I can, you know, give that as a participation points for students.
That's excellent. I mean, I think that is really the defining difference between an upper division and lower division class. classes that you really need to be able to join the conversation. One thing I've noticed that a lot of students have trouble with is maybe if they have, you know, a long time to write a really good paper or something, then they will sound really, really excellent and, you know, like professionals in the scientific field. But then when it comes to actually saying a question and utilizing a lot of this vocabulary they've been building for the last 2 years, and now you're building up more complicated concepts on top of that, then students tend to have some stumbles or some struggles, you know. So I think it's really essential for all the upper division classes to actually bring students in to the conversation where they're actually utilizing in real time with their peers and with people who have even more experience, like their instructors or professors, to be able to discuss these topics. And anyways, to be able to discuss and ask questions is really honestly the only reason you would want to pay tuition to learn this information, besides getting your degree, because if the textbook is out there or the information is out there, you can go online and learn just about anything these days. But to have somebody that you can actually ask detailed questions of, who can give you some responses, and especially also to see how you compare to your peers. You know, if multiple people ask the same question, then that's at least advantageous that you know that, okay, well, maybe this point wasn't clear. It helps us as instructors with feedback, but then it also maybe can give you some confidence that you think about the right concepts and that you have reasonable questions. You know, hopefully you're beyond the point of asking questions about algebra or oxidation numbers at this state and asking more detailed questions but if not, it gives you a forum to do that. And right now is the time.
And I think it gets everyone involved, because let's face it, like you said, like, you know, oftentimes it's a smaller subgroup of people asking questions, and there's always some people that, you know, naturally understand the material well, don't have as much questions, but they can participate by answering questions and reinforce their knowledge and reinforce, you know, their ability to be able to describe concepts. And that's probably the thing I was most shocked about when we kind of used it for the first time last semester. Was I wasn't surprised, because it's a lot like Facebook, and you know, there's an app for your phone, and so I knew that it would make me more accessible, because unlike emails or even office hours, which, you know, I just don't have a time to check emails very often, or office hours are only a few a week, I knew, just like with any social media, I could check this on the go, check it, you know, a lot, and be able to quickly respond. The thing I was most shocked about was how much peer-to-peer. You know, it seemed like before we could even answer the question, another student had already answered. And the other thing, I guess I shouldn't have been shocked about, but they were often right. I mean, if somebody gave a comment, I was always worried, like, students might, you know, give advice and it might not be right, or it might be leading them kind of in the wrong direction, or helping to answer a question, but it wasn't answered correctly, and that would cause further confusion. But very little of that. Most of the time.
I think that's another advantage of YellowDIG over a conventional classroom, actually, is because if you don't just ask the question, but somebody actually can go up to the board and solve the problem, essentially, which is very uncommon in a conventional classroom setting.
Well, and the other thing they've added, which I think is really useful, I felt like some people wouldn't comment because of what you mentioned earlier, which is, oh, that's a dumb question. They'll even start. Half of the, you know, messages or comments or pins will start with, this might be a dumb question, or something like that. And I get it. Like, I think that's the reason why you never get questions in class, or you never, people don't want to be called out half the time. I'm the same way a lot of times in big seminars. Like, you just think, I'll ask that later, I'll ask it in an email, where you just feel a little more anonymous or something. One of the features that they had last time, but we didn't really utilize, is you can post anything anonymously.
Yeah, that's true. No, very few people posted anonymously, possibly because we offered some extra credit. Well, and they wanted credit, but if you are shy about your question.
You can post it anonymously, but it still gives you credit for it, because it keeps track of, did you participate? But at least when it comes out, you know, it doesn't list your name, so that you can still get all the participation, but if you're just embarrassed or something, or you're worried, like, you can still post anonymously. I'm amazed, you're right, students don't use it that often, but I love that there is that, so that even even the students that might be hesitant or shy to ask a question can now even make sure they participate and hopefully become more comfortable. Okay, I want to, we've spent a fair amount of time just introducing this. Since I've started using it this semester, I just want to look at a few things and have you remember from last semester where people use. So the one thing I've already started to do is, we didn't utilize polling much last semester, but I think it's a really good utilization. And the first thing I want students to get over is that this, their polling is not graded. It's not, they almost treat it like a quiz because it looks like a quiz with multiple choice. But, the first thing I want students to realize is this is just me polling so that I know, is this a concept they really well understand, one they might not understand, are they getting the wrong answer systematically and because of some confusion, etc.
It's like clickers, right?
Yeah,
More
we
like
didn't really, exactly. It's just like clickers in class.
Yeah.
And I don't think we utilized it much last semester, but I plan to
I think that's
more
fantastic,
this semester.
because the students last semester were sometimes frustrated between the time when they were turning in their exams or their homework and then the time the grades, the feedback would be communicated. Even though that was only a few days, and I think when you have an on-the-ground class, maybe there's a little less anxiety, probably because of the constant contact that we have when teaching online. They kind of expect a faster turnaround for that response time. So this is a really good tool to have so that you can get some pretty instant feedback on how you're doing with these type of problems in between having your actual graded assignment. So
a lot of the questions, especially at the start of the semester, it's probably unfair to look at the kind of start of the semester, end up being, where can I find homework solutions? Right. Just what I would call logistic, like syllabus or logistics type things. I think it really gets interesting, when students start asking real questions. And here would be an example. In fact, I'd say this is pretty common.
He posted his work, or is it, I didn't see the name. This person posted their work.
Yeah,
that's excellent. This is a great way to do it. Show what you have done, and then have everybody have a chance to evaluate your process. Say, okay, I got stuck at the same place, or I was able to go from here to this next step.
Well, and I think, let's face it, don't we all do that now? Like, it's easy to kind of write something out on a Post-it or a piece of paper, just kind of take a picture of it real quick, upload it and say, this is what I'm doing, then to try to, it's not that YellowDIG doesn't have where you can comment and write equations, it has a math editor, but I think you probably find the same as me, like, half the time I don't even do that.
Right,
you just try to use that kind of, it's really painful.
Just write something and snap a photo. I think it's extremely useful. One of the biggest challenges in this course, and also in 463 if you're taking the second half for session B, is just being able to turn these sometimes lengthy or at least very vocabulary specific word problems into a mathematical equation. And so if you get stuck, you're not sure, even where to start a problem, or you have found the right equation but you weren't quite sure where to plug in the values, this is a really great tool to just be able to snap a photo and say, I'm stuck here, somebody help. And it's a good place to discuss and be able to, really get the finer points for all this vocabulary and how questions can be worded. I've experienced things like having, a problem on the homework where you have stated the integral limits. So what's the probability of finding this thing between here and here? And so you say from this to this, and students understand that means lower to upper integral limit. Then you ask a problem where you say, what's the probability of finding it beyond this? And they don't somehow make the transition between that slight change in wording to it being that value to infinity, right? And so when you have a discussion board like this and you can post your work as you're going, then I think some of those type of points about converting between the language to describe math and the actual math is going to be really useful feature of using YellowDIG.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I appreciate you discussing this with me today. And I think, this video will give students kind of a good, introduction to, how we've used YellowDIG in the past and why we're using it in the future. And hopefully this, motivates them to get on and participate more.
Absolutely. And I just want to encourage you to ask anything. When I say that we hope you remember prerequisite material like certain math or anything about Gen Chem, that doesn't mean don't ask those questions. You can go anonymous or you can use your name. I think that, but the more important thing is that you understand. And so, when I was teaching this course last semester, I was certainly happy to work out like every single step, even if that's just showing that you need to divide, not multiply by a certain variable or whatever. Sometimes students need reminders of that. Don't have any hesitation to ask any question.
And it's often when you
get, sure you understand.
It's often when you get stuck on the simplest, what you would call introductory level thing, or introductory mathematical, or simple, I missed a minus sign, or something like that. But you kind of had to struggle through. It's often those that you remember the most anyway, and you get the most out of by not having to just memorize something, but really kind of struggle with the fundamental concepts. And it's really understanding those fundamental concepts that really is what you're trying to get out of this course.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.